So we already have everything prepped. And if you've seen in the previous videos, we sprayed white sealer because this color takes a white sealer. It is a candy base coat or a semi-transparent base coat. It's a custom color I made. But we're gonna end up spraying white sealer on this, letting that flash, double checking everything, and then proceeding to spraying color and clear coat today. So give you a breakdown. The sealer we're using is Southern Polyurethane SPI sealer. It's a wet on wet sealer. And we're gonna let that flash off. Then we're gonna be spraying a Tropical Glitz custom color, letting that flash off. Flash today's a little colder, so maybe the flash might be 30 minutes versus our usual 15 minutes. And then we're gonna let that properly dry. And we're gonna go straight to spraying Southern Polyurethane Euro Clear. 2020 is the product number for it. That's a 4-to-1-to-1. If you've seen my previous videos, I talk about it a lot. You see me mixing it. But today we're gonna try to see if we can wrap all this up because this project's been lingering around for a little bit. We got sidetracked between spraying some panels for the Detroit Autorama that we donated this year. And we have a lot of other events we have to travel all over the country. So I wanna see if I can get this squared away, knocked out, so we can start bringing the car around and hopefully have the car in paint sooner than later by the end of this year. All right, so we've already cleaned this all up. I have here a little bit of adhesion promoter. And what I'm gonna end up doing is spraying adhesion promoter in some spots that I might have any concerns of maybe getting some delamination, even though I sanded everything as good as possible, but there's always a couple spots that I might worry about. So I'm gonna just end up touching this up real quick. I'm just spraying adhesion promoter here. You guys can notice I'm taking care of all the little tight spots. I'm not really dusting this on. I'm making sure I spray a nice wet coat so I can let that flash off and then come back with base coat, make sure everything looks perfect and not have any issues with delamination. So here we're using Car Rep adhesion promoter. It comes in an aerosol can. So for this project, there was no point for me to mix it up and spray it through a spray gun. So I decided to grab this can, and it's worked out fantastic in previous projects. So aerosol cans just make your life so much easier when it comes to something like this. All right, so I sprayed a good amount of adhesion promoter. It's not gonna hurt to have a little bit more, but I sprayed adhesion promoter in some of the spots that I would worry about. And then just pretty much around the edges, things like that. Even though we sanded it very well, but I wanna kinda give myself a little bit of an insurance policy. I do have the mechanical adhesion, but I wanna make sure I have the chemical adhesion, and this is gonna help me bond both of those two things together. So I usually start, every time you see me paint, you're gonna always notice I start with my edges. Same thing with the sealer, I start with all the edges. Paint has the tendency to run away from the edges. It's just how it is. So I start with all my edges. I start spraying sealer in all my hard to reach places first, especially where I sprayed the adhesion promoter. And then once I have everything done, I start doing my 50-50 overlap pattern on the whole piece. Always notice how I'm following the contour of the shape. It's very important to continue to follow that same distance, 6-inch fan, 6-inch distance, and keep it parallel with the shape of the project you're spraying. In this case, these fenders have a round dome shape, so I'm constantly following the same shape with my spray pattern. You want to make sure you spray the sealer as wet as possible. You don't want to run in it, but you don't want to have a dry sealer. The whole point of sealer, you want to spray it like a base coat. You want to have as minimal orange peel as possible. So this is what's going to be, this is a wet on wet sealer. If you spray this with too much orange peel and you spray your color, you're going to see the orange peel right through the color because of the sealer. We gave one coat of sealer already on this. You guys can see, I'm gonna come do now one thing, if you notice in the videos, I spray sealer. You see I have dark areas here. I like to usually spray my sealer more here. I'll do the first coat around my dark area. I do my edges. I always do my edges first, all the time. But I'm gonna spray sealer around my edges, then I'm gonna spray over these dark areas. So by the time I go and do the overall panel, the overall project, I'm getting more of a uniform finish with the sealer. So now that you see, I already did the coats on my edges. I did on my overall gray. Now I come back. This is already drying up. We're moving a lot of air in this booth. Now I'm gonna come back and start spraying completely over the whole panel. Make sure I have a nice uniform. Now remember, this only has one coat. I can still see a little bit of dark spot here and there, but I'm gonna end up giving this another coat of sealer. But I wanna make sure I'm spreading my time to show you guys as much as possible, because usually when I'm mixing up sealer, and I'm doing a project, I'll mix up a good amount of sealer because I'm gonna not want to spend any time going out the booth, in the booth. But because this is an educational video, I want to make sure I give you guys enough time to understand what I'm doing and you can follow along.
Sure.
All right, so I wanted to show you guys an up close. This is what 2 coats of sealer looks like. You can still see here, it's still shiny. It is still drying and evaporating. It's a little colder today than usual, but this is what a nice coat of sealer. Sealer should spray on as smooth as possible, should give you a very nice silky look. See here? See, this, we're gonna end up giving another coat because this will come out in the pink when we start spraying the pink, but what we're looking for is a nice uniform color. Same thing here. See, look at that reflection. It kind of has like an eggshell finish, and that's what we're looking for, that nice eggshell finish. this is gonna be one of the last coats of sealer. What I'm gonna end up doing is just spraying a couple spots, make sure the color and coverage looks even. We're gonna let that dry, and then from there we start going into spraying the actual color on this project. All right, so you just saw us spraying the 68 Caprice inner fenders. We've been working on this for the last couple of weeks, on and off between traveling, running tropical glitz, and trying to stay relevant for YouTube. But we just sprayed 2 coats of sealer, and I went over, well, technically 3, because we ended up spraying wet sealer on the gray areas. But now we're gonna let this dry, make sure it's completely cured, and we're gonna go right into the custom color. Now today, the temperature in Miami, Florida is a little colder than usual. We're at 78 degrees, give or take. Humidity's perfect. I'm using a medium reducer. Now remember, I always spray with slow reducer here in Florida because it's usually hot. But now that the weather is a little cooler, I ended up using medium. You have to always take it to a consideration to have all your temperature reducers in stock, because you never know what part of the country in. As the temperature fluctuates, you have to change your reducer accordingly. So we're gonna let this dry and then go straight into the custom pink. And if you've seen their Caprice hood, it's the same shade that we painted on the Caprice hood. We're gonna paint the inner fenders, and little by little, we're gonna start painting parts of the car to assemble the car and hopefully bring it in to spray the whole car and get it ready for all the patterns. All right, let's see here. So we've already had this dry quite a bit. Well, what I'm coming back is I'm double checking to see if I have anything that I want to sand down. Sometimes in sealer, this is a wet on wet sealer, so I don't have to necessarily sand anything. Yeah, I can go straight to spraying color, but I want to double check to see if I have any garbage or debris on the surface that's going to end up reflecting out of the paint. So this is a 600 grit sandpaper, and I want to just see if I have anything. And exactly what I thought, we have a little piece of just garbage here, and I'm just going to come back here and see how, and I'm just going to touch it. I want to make sure I don't go very hard. If the sealer is still curing, it will dig in and ruin your project. If the sealer is nice and dry, it will sound like any 2K primer. And right now the sealer is dry. I don't put a lot of pressure. I don't want to dig into this. I want to just knock down a little bit of the surface area of that piece of garbage I have. Same thing here. I have a little piece of dust particle and a piece of eyelash that looks like it fell off as I was painting. Nothing big. Not a lot of pressure, but it's nice, even. Get this nice and flat. A lot of things I see sometimes guys dig into these projects with a lot of pressure, and you end up grooving into the primer or the paint or the substrates that's underneath, and you create an uneven surface that will come out. So in this case, just a nice soft sand. Now I come back, run my finger on it, see how it is feeling. All right, and we're ready for color.
All right, so I'm sure you guys are gonna struggle to hear me a little bit, but this is custom color pink. Let's turn on the booth.
All right, so same thing like I always do. I start with my edges, make sure I get a nice fan cover. Now, the first coat is never gonna look as good as the second. Same thing with the third. I'm not trying to pound on the paint. This is a very translucent pearl base coat that we made. Well, I made. I say we all the time, but it's made for myself for this project. That's why white sealer is so important, because it's what really makes the color pop and glow. So I start with all my edges, go around. On this color, I do a 75% overlap, and then I make sure I do a drop coat. So here you see, I'm following the contour the same way I sprayed my sealer. I'm following the contour of the fender, keeping my fan real tight, 75% overlap. It's really easy to stripe, or what we call modeling. It means that the pearls are going to be heavier in one pass than the other one, and it's going to be hard to fix that later on. You know, you could fix it, but same thing. If I can avoid it, it's all in practice. So make sure you have really good technique and the spray pattern is nice and tight.
So if you guys can see, this is only the first coat. It is blotchy, but you treat this like a candy. As the coats build up, you start getting more of the rich candy base coat coming out. I shot a white sealer down. That is the base for this color. And then the more I start stacking the color, the more vibrant the base comes. But right now, we're gonna let this flash off and make sure everything looks nice and smooth. And then same thing, 75% overlap. Keeping it nice and tight, keeping it nice and wet. I want to make sure all my pearls are orientated very well. That's good.
So one of the things you guys are always going to see, all my spray guns are set up with disposable cup systems. I use the Vilbis D-cup system. It's been the system I've been using ever since they started with it. I've tried the other systems. This one works great for me.
It's the least expensive one out of what's out there in the market, and it does a phenomenal job when it comes to spraying our product in whichever direction I want. Questions we get asked all the time: what spray gun do we use? So I use pretty much almost anything and everything, but in this video we're spraying with a 1.4 Awada LPH 400. It's the workhorse of a spray gun. It's one of my favorite spray guns when it comes to spraying things with high metallics or high pearls, and orientation is a big thing for me. So either with a purple cap or an orange cap. On this gun we have a chrome cap on this one, but they have different color caps to help with different pearls. Some colors are more difficult than others, so you go to an orange, and then if it's really difficult you go with a purple. These are all things available on our website. One thing I want you guys to understand is everything that we sell on our website we actually use. Everything that we offer, I have to personally use it myself to make sure it's something that I would use for my own projects and it meets my quality. So we don't really just sell anything just to sell. The whole point is to make sure you guys get the same exact outcome that we get here at Tropical Glitz. So my wall regulator set up to 60 psi. One of the things I like about the Awadas, they have a little choker valve in the bottom. So I have it preset to an air pressure where I feel comfortable and it's going to get the job done. Now, we get a lot of questions. What PSI are you shooting? Where you're at? What's this? Guys, unfortunately, I used to, when I first started painting when I was younger, I had a gauge and I would always have everything by the book. If it was 20, 25, 30 PSI, usually it was that 25 mark or 20. As I gotten older, I don't want to have 10 pounds of stuff added on the back of my gun. And I've learned to really understand the spray gun, the air pressure that comes out of the spray gun, how the gun sounds, and how my paint is reacting with that pressure. So, to give you what exact air pressure, I can't tell you. I just know that it is working exactly where I need it to work to make sure the color comes out perfect.
So we have a few coats of our custom pink color. Now we're gonna let this dry, and I would imagine it's gonna look amazing once we put clear on it. If you saw the previous video of the hood, it looks like candy, and we're gonna end up spraying 3 coats of SPI Euro clear on these fenders. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and follow. This is the 1968 Caprice Project, one of my personal cars, and this is our lowrider. All right, so I'm back in the booth. This has more than enough time to flash off. Everything looks perfect. I don't see any issues with the panel. I've already mixed up roughly 20 ounces of clear. I want to make sure I give this 2 to 3 coats of clear on this. We mixed up SPI 4:1:1 Euro 2020 clear. That's Southern polyurethane. It's the clear we sell on the website. It's the clear that I personally use. I've been using it for years. So we're gonna come around and give this 3 nice coats of clear and make sure everything looks perfect and continue to move on with the project.
All right, so real important, when I spray this product, this is one of my favorite products. We sell it all the time. I use it all the time. You want to make sure you don't do a tack coat. You want to spray the first coat a medium to wet coat. The first coat is going to mimic like the last coat. If you do a tack coat on this and you start going all your other coats, you're going to end up having a lot of orange peel, and you don't want the orange peel. This product lays out like glass. Listen to what I'm telling you. A medium to wet coat on the first coat, and everything else is going to follow right after.
right, so we just finished doing 3 coats of Southern Polyurethane Euro Clear on the 1968 Caprice inner fenders, and this is the finish that you get. This is what the clear should look like once you have it laid out. It looks real nice. The air pressure, I bumped it up just a hair on the last coat, just to kind of make sure I kind of get a really nice smooth orange peel to it, really soft, settle orange peel. I have no intentions in wet sanding and buffing any of these items. This is something that's gonna go straight on the car, bolted on. So exactly how it looks, it's how it's gonna stay. All right, guys, if you like what you see, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and follow. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Any technical questions, hit us up. This is what we're here for. Much love. Tropical Glitz.